Hello everyone, welcome to the second lecture of human endocrine system, and in today's lecture we will be discussing about pituitary gland. So pituitary gland is also an important part of our human endocrine system, and it is also called as hypophysis. Hypophysis. Now it is generally pear shaped, very much small and red gray in color. Now origin. Its origin is it is ectodermally derived. As we know, there is three types of it may be of three type of origin, that is ectodermal, endodermal or mesodermal. But here pituitary gland is ectodermally derived or ectodermal origin. Location where it is present. It is present in bony cavity of sphenoid bone of skull. In our skull, bone is present, and in sphenoid bone, the bony cavity, which is also called as sella turcica, here the pituitary gland is present. And as we discussed in previous lecture, the pituitary gland is attached to the hypothalamus with the help of a stalk which is called as infundibulum. And this infundibulum we can see here in this diagram, that is the infundibulum. Now, the pituitary gland or hypophysis is anatomically divided into two parts, adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Not exactly, but in loose sense, we can say that adenohypophysis is the anterior part of pituitary, whereas the neurohypophysis, it is, we can surely call that neurohypophysis is the posterior part of pituitary gland. Right. Adenohypophysis. It constitutes about 75% of the pituitary gland, and it is under the hormonal control. Means this part can secrete hormone and can synthesize their own hormone. Whereas neurohypophysis, it constitutes only the 25% of pituitary gland, and it is the under neural control. This means they can't synthesize any hormone. The hormones which are secreted by neurohypophysis are synthesized in hypothalamus. The hypothalamus send it in neurohypophysis. The neurohypophysis stores those hormone, and when it gets stimulus, then it secretes it. Now, first talking about adenohypophysis, in loose sense we can call it anterior pituitary, but not exactly. It consists of three parts: pars tuberalis, pars distalis, and pars intermedia. As we can see from the diagram, this portion is the neurohypophysis, this portion is pars distalis. Here near the stalk, this portion is pars tuberalis, and this intermediate junction, this portion is generally called as pars intermedia. From the name suggests intermediate, it is intermediate. Now, first talking about pars tuberalis, it do not secrete any hormones. Then what is its function? It covers the stalk of pituitary gland within a vascularized sheath. Means it covers the stalk of pituitary gland. This stalk, this infundibulum is also a part of the stalk. So the stalk means this part in the diagram, this stalk part. So the pars tuberalis covers this stalk of pituitary gland with a sheath, within a sheath, and this sheath is vascularized. That means vessels can be found. Pars distalis. Now this is the main anterior pituitary part. Now in adenohypophysis, the major constituents of adenohypophysis is pars distalis. So accurately we can say that pars distalis is the anterior pituitary, but in loose sense we can say that adenohypophysis is the anterior pituitary. Now, this pars distalis is very much major part of adenohypophysis, and it is very much important as it secretes a lot of hormone. That is, first it secretes growth hormone, then it secretes thyroid stimulating hormone, then it secretes adenocorticotropic hormone, prolactin hormone, and gonadotropic hormone. In gonadotropic hormone, there are two hormones present. That is the consists of two hormones. That is the LH, luteinizing hormone, and FSH, follicular stimulating hormone. So in total, we can say that pars distalis, that is a part of adenohypophysis, secretes total of 6 hormones. As we can see that gonadotropic consists of two hormones. Now coming to the next page, pars intermedia. As we have seen in the previous page in this diagram that it acts as an intermediate, means it is present in between the boundary of neurohypophysis and adenohypophysis. Now here it is written that it acts as a boundary between anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. Now it secretes only one hormone, that is called as melanocyte stimulating hormone. Coming to neurohypophysis, it is also called as posterior pituitary and also called as pars nervosa. Now neurohypophysis can't be further classified, therefore it is totally as a whole can be called as pars nervosa. Now it doesn't synthesize or produce any hormone as we had said earlier, but it store and release hormones, and these hormones are synthesized by hypothalamus. The two hormones which are secreted by neurohypophysis are, one is oxytocin, another is vasopressin or antidiuretic hormone ADH. From this diagram we can see that it is the stalk, this portion is the stalk. Now this portion is anterior lobe of pituitary and this portion is posterior lobe of pituitary, this portion. Now there is axon is present, and through this nervous system, since we know that neurohypophysis is under the neural control, therefore hypothalamus sends those secretion of their hormones through neural system. And in this you can see that anterior lobe of pituitary secreting TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, where thyroid gland, thyroid hormones. Then it is called adenocorticotropic hormone in adrenal cortex, which it is an just a overview of various hormones which is secreted by the pituitary gland, and in the next pages we will be discussing further about those hormones. Now first we will be talking about the hormones secreted by adenohypophysis. Now in total adenohypophysis secretes 7 hormones. 6 hormones are secreted by parts distalis part of the adenohypophysis, and one hormone is secreted by pars intermedia of adenohypophysis, and this hormone is the melanocyte stimulating hormone. Now coming to the first hormone secreted by adenohypophysis, and here you can see that the name of those hormones which are written in black, they are secreted by pars distalis, and those are secreted by that of pars intermedia, that is only one hormone, it is written in blue. Now first coming to growth hormone, this hormone is secreted by pituitary gland. It regulates the growth of body. It regulates the growth of body by protein anabolism, not catabolism. It doesn't cause breakdown of protein, it causes anabolism, means organization of protein that helps in growth of our body. Through storage of glucose, it means helps in glucose storage, and also as well as intestinal absorption of calcium, as we know that calcium plays an important role in our bones. Here it can be seen that it also helps in growth and development of bones. Now disorder related to growth hormone. There are generally 3 disorders that we have to study. First one is dwarfism. It is caused due to less secretion or hyposecretion of growth hormone. It is also called as pituitary dwarfism. As you can see, it is very rare case. These are very rare cases, but we have generally seen dwarf people mostly in various circuses as well as in various streets also, etc. Gigantism. In the diagram you can see a dwarf person which and their body growth is stunted, means they do not grow like a normal person. Gigantism, due to hyposecretion of growth hormone, hypersecretion of growth hormone. Hypersecretion means excessive secretion of growth hormone. It causes abnormal growth in that person. In the figure you can see that it is gigantism, and probably he was the world's tallest man, and his name is probably Robert Wadlow or something like that. So here you can see in the picture. And in third, it is acromegaly. It is quite similar like that of gigantism, but not exactly gigantism. It is due to the hypersecretion of GA growth hormone in adults, generally in adults. It resulted in several complications. Means In the adult stage, as we know that generally growth of a person generally occurs in between 18 to 21 years. Also the growth of various muscles and bones also occurs after that, but generally when there is an hypersecretion of growth hormone in adults, then acromegaly can be seen. It may cause premature death if remain unchecked. Means if it is not diagnosed and if it is not treated properly, then it may cause premature death. Premature death means not death of a person during premature stage. That is not in baby. It means that it may early death in one word. It can be noticed during physical changes. Only can be noticed during physical changes means if acromegaly stimulates or enhances the change in physical condition, then it can be noticed. And this disease is very much hard to diagnose. This is very rare case, and this disease is also very hard to diagnose. Now, coming to the next hormone, that is the thyroid stimulating hormone. As the name suggests, it acts on the thyroid gland. What it does, it stimulates the thyroid gland to synthesis means produce and also secrete means release of thyroxine hormone. In about the thyroxine hormone we will study in the further lectures. As we all know from previous classes that thyroxine generally helps in increasing the basal metabolic rate or our metabolism of our body. Adenocorticotropic hormone, ATCH, as the name suggests, it acts on the adrenal cortex to stimulate the adrenal cortex to release as well as synthesis glucocorticoids. After that, prolactin hormone. It helps in development of mammary glands, generally in females, in mammals, and helps in production of milk in mammary glands, and also helps on not secretion. It helps in synthesis, means production of milk in mammary glands. After that, gonadotropic hormone that contains which acts on gonads as the name suggests, and which is of two types. One is follicular stimulating hormone or FSH. In females, it regulates growth as well as development of ovarian follicles. The ovarian follicles, which is generally present in ovaries, they helps in regulating growth and their development. Helps in secretion of estrogen, which is an important uh, hormone present in female body. And in male, this follicular stimulating hormone regulates spermatogenesis, that is the process of formation of sperm. Now, after that, coming to luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone in females, it stimulates ovulation of mature Graafian follicles. That means, as we know that the follicles are generally formed in early stages of our life in female girl, that is in when she is present in mother's womb. But during puberty, when these Graafian follicles gets mature, this luteinizing hormone helps in stimulation of ovulation. Now, it also helps in maintaining corpus luteum in female. Now, further, this corpus luteum releases progesterone in female. This progesterone is one of the important sex hormones present in female body, as we all know. Now, the function of luteinizing hormone in male. In males, coming to the last slide, luteinizing hormone is also called as interstitial cells stimulating hormone, ICSH. What does it does in what is its function in male? It activates Leydig cells, which in turn secretes androgen. What is the androgen? Means testosterone. We know that Leydig cells secretes testosterone, and this luteinizing hormone helps in activating those Leydig cells so that it can secrete testosterone. Coming to the next hormone, which is secreted by pars intermedia, that is the melanocyte stimulating hormone. It acts on melanin containing cells called as melanocyte. What is melanocyte? We know means cyte means cells. Those cells which contains melanin are called as melanocyte. It helps in pigmentation of skin. Melanin is a pigment and it helps in pigmentation of skin. Now, hormones which are secreted by neurohypophysis. Neurohypophysis generally secrete two hormones. One is oxytocin and another is vasopressin. And those two hormones are synthesized by hypothalamus. Then they are sent to neurohypophysis. They store it, and when they receive stimulus, according to it, they release oxytocin as well as vasopressin. Oxytocin is called as birth hormone as well as milk releasing hormone. It always acts on smooth muscles. Now, this oxytocin helps in secretion of milk. That means it helps in release of milk, not production. Release of milk from mammary glands during breastfeeding. That means during the time of lactation of a small baby, this hormone oxytocin when received stimulus helps in secretion of milk from mammary glands. And that is why, and due to this function, it is also called as milk releasing hormone. After that, it also helps in vigorous contraction as well as widening of uterus. As we know, all know that uterus is called as the mother. So during the near completion of pregnancy, the mother of generally swells as the baby gets mature. In such cases, oxytocin helps in widening of the uterus, and during the childbirth, oxytocin helps in vigorous contraction of uterus. So in this statement it is written that it also helps in vigorous contraction as well as widening of uterus during childbirth and near completion of pregnancy respectively. After that, coming to the vasopressin. Now this vasopressin acts on nephrons of kidney. They help in loss of water from body by reabsorption of water in distal convoluted tubule. That means this hormone helps in reabsorption of water in distal convoluted tubule, therefore helps our body from further loss of water. Now what happens is, if ADH is not secreted, disorder related to ADH. We know that vasopressin or antidiuretic hormone helps in reabsorption of water or retaining of water in our body. If it is not secreted, then there will be a loss of water from our body. The loss of water will be through urine. As a result, when concentrated urine, when we will give it more water, then it will become dilute. As a result, due to the absence of vasopressin, diluted urine is formed. Therefore, this disorder, when there is a failure of ADH secretion, it is called as diabetes insipidus, not mellitus, it is diabetes insipidus. It is caused due to failure of ADH secretion. It is, as a result, there is a elimination of large volume of dilute urine and increases blood pressure. How it increases blood pressure? It enhances the arterial blood pressure by causing constriction of arterioles. Therefore, it is the end of today's video, and discussed about the various hormones which are secreted by pituitary gland. And in the next video, we will be talking about pineal gland and thyroid gland. Thank you.